On day 4, God said, "Let there be lights in the firmament of the heaven to divide the day from the night, and let them be for signs and for seasons and for days and years." And God made 2 great lights, the greater light to rule the day, and the lesser light to rule the night. He made the stars also, and God set them in the firmament of the heaven to give light upon the earth.
The sun didn't come till day 4. You know why I think God left the sun till day 4? Maybe it's because down through the ages, pagan cultures worship the sun. And they say the sun gave birth to life. Even evolution basically says that, if you think about it. And maybe God left the sun till day 4 to show he could create the earth and sustain it, and the sun was to be the light holder from that time onward on day 4.
Some Bible scholars put a strain on these passages, maintaining the sun, moon, and stars were created on the 4th day. Well, this is unwarranted. The emphasis in this verse is on the purpose for the heavenly bodies, not their coming into existence. If we take the heaven from Genesis 1:1, when God created heaven and earth, to include the visible universe or cosmos, then it would incorporate the sun, moon, and stars. Even if we just take the heavens to mean sky, it would be strangely black without sunlight, moonlight, and starlight. The Expositor's Bible commentary reasons this way. So the starting point of an understanding of verses 14 and 18 is the view that the whole of the universe, including the sun, moon, and stars, was created in the beginning, and thus not on the 4th day. In the creation account, the Hebrew word bara means create, and always emanates from God. That can imply an ex nihilo creation, a literal out-of-nothing creation, or the use of elements brought into existence previously, as with primitive sea life, Genesis 1:21, also a man and his woman, Genesis 1:27. The word made used in the verse in question is the Hebrew asa, a more general term, and may mean appoint or accomplish in this verse. The Greek Septuagint avoids confusion. God indeed made the 2 great luminaries, the greater luminary for the regulations of the day, and the lesser luminary with the stars for the regulations of the night. Thus, on the 1st day, God created the sun, moon, and stars along with the earth, and on the 4th day, God appointed the sun to govern the day and commissioned the moon and stars to rule the night. In other words, God appointed the heavenly bodies on the 4th day to function as timekeepers for the sighted creatures who come along on day 5 and 6.
Isn't it true that some scholars consider the days to be sequential, day 1, day 2, day 3, and so on, while others prefer a framework idea where days 1, 3, and 5 align with 2, 4, and 6?
Yes. The framework view has a number of followers, and they differ a little on nomenclature. But in general, some posit that the odd-numbered days are days of forming, and the even-numbered days are days of filling. And there are variations on the theme. One author lines up the days of creation such that the 1st day, when God separated the light from the darkness, it sets up a precondition for the 4th day, when God created the sun, moon, and stars. God created the sea from the sky on the 3rd day of creation, which lines up with the 5th day, when God created sea creatures and birds. The 3rd day saw the separation of land from the sea and the creation of plant life, and supposedly this aligns with the creation of animals and humans on the 6th day. In this view, the first 3 days of creation set up the conditions of the earth required for the life forms ushered in on the following 3 days.
Why do scholars do that? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me that the author of Genesis would purposely make it so difficult, so convoluted.
Well, basically it stems from a bad interpretation. The 4th day is misunderstood as a day when God created the sun, moon, and stars, which would make no sense following vegetation on the earth's surface on the 3rd day. So scholars feel an urge to bail out the poor author, who otherwise would be just plain wrong. but it is a helping hand entirely unneeded. If the author had been such a dunderhead that fish came before water or cattle before grass, then a different order might be useful, but there is nothing wrong with the listed order of the creation episodes when allowances are made for the archaic language and Hebrew syntax.
On the fifth day, God said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that has life, and the fowl that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of heaven." And God created great whales, and every living creature that moves, which the waters brought forth abundantly, after their kind, and every winged fowl after his kind.
Critics have a field day with these passages because birds are out of order here. Paleontologists generally agree that reptiles preceded birds. Furthermore, whales are mammals and necessarily follow both reptiles and birds and should not be included with primitive sea life at all. These would seem to be valid arguments, except that Genesis was written in Hebrew and ancient definitions differ from modern faunal classifications. A closer look at the text reveals that the order presented here should not be troublesome at all. First of all, sharks and armored fish date to the Devonian period, when God said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that hath life." Next, the Hebrew word opt that has been translated fowl could be translated flying creature, the same basic word for insect, which probably would have been a better translation. Flying insects date to 300 million years ago in the Carboniferous period and could have been useful for pollinating some of the vegetation springing forth at that time. Also, why were fowls mentioned 3 times in 3 consecutive passages from Genesis 1:20 to 22? If birds had been intended in all 3 instances, it would be a curious redundancy. Some Bible translators shun the word whales, opting for sea monsters, for example, and this makes sense. It is doubtful that the author ever set eyes on a whale in the Levant, and it's unlikely he would have named an animal he had not seen. The English translation of the Septuagint is less confusing. Then God said, "Let the waters produce moving creatures having life, and winged creatures flying above the earth in the open firmament of heaven." And it was so. God indeed made the great sea monsters and every species of moving animals, which the waters produced according to their kinds, and every winged flying creature according to kind. The large sea creature satisfies the Hebrew. Primitive amphibians began to appear in the Devonian, giving way to reptiles in the Upper Carboniferous. The advance of reptiles onto dry land was a big step. An amniotic egg with significantly different membranes was required than was necessary for amphibians, which laid their eggs in water. Equipped with a horny or scaly epidermis along with a sturdier set of legs, the first reptiles ventured forth on land. Now let us see how these passages read when we make accommodations for the Hebrew and after applying what we know about nature. On the 5th day, God said, "Let the waters bring forth abundantly the moving creature that has life, fish, and flying insects that may fly above the earth in the open firmament of the sky." And God created large sea creatures and every living creature that moves, which the waters brought forth abundantly after their kind, amphibians and reptiles, and every winged bird after his kind.